Chatty Chappies are the recent friends Andy and Brian who are discovering similar interests, and just like chatting about all kinds of things from music to vehicles, spirituality to writing, but seldom football. If you want to be added to their future communications, there will be a notice at the end of this broadcast. Chatty Chappies.
Well, it seems ages, Andrew.
It's been a few weeks, I think.
It has.
And we're in a different location.
Yeah.
We're no longer in the book room.
We're not. This is the other room. Yeah, we're at the second site, and I'm glad to be here. It's taken us a while to get this far, but we're in, and it's good that you're around to have a chat. And I just wonder, what shall we chat about today?
Well, you know something, I was sitting this morning at 11 o'clock in the office, and I had something that we've talked a lot about. I had a warm buttery with lots of extra butter melting on top of it.
Yes.
You know, that was in Forest, so heart of buttery country.
Yeah, well, butteries goes back a long way in my memory. Yes, butteries. Now, my grandfather used to make butteries. Yeah,
he was Aberdeen.
He was Aberdeen. Yes, he was a baker. He had a small shop, and
they would have called them rowies.
Now that's interesting. Yes, he did. Yes, Mum and Grandad would call them rowies. Yes.
I hadn't heard that one until a few years ago, and when I saw it written down, I asked what it was and realised it was just another name. But it was the first time I had heard the term rowie.
Yes. Now, if you go back, 50 years. If you went to a baker's in Aberdeen and asked for half a dozen rolls, you would have got butteries.
Would you?
Yes.
That's what you would have got.
That's what you'd have got. So if you wanted the roll that we would think about...
breakfast roll.
A breakfast roll with a nice square sausage in it.
Yeah.
That would have been a softie.
The softies, yeah. Aye. So softies were... And again, they've got softies through the northeast.
Yes.
And apparently you can get a belly button softie.
Oh, right. I haven't heard about that.
Little hole.
Oh.
There we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, since we came to Inverness recently, we've been trying out various butteries.
Okay.
Now, we tried a small shop one, and it felt like it hadn't been fired long enough.
Right. Aye.
Overall, reasonable. I think we scored it 7 out of 10. And then we had one from one of the big supermarkets. And
I noticed that you're being very careful not to give names, and yeah.
Yeah, well, there's lots of places where you can get butteries, and that's maybe that's an experiment we could do to continue that, to find the classic buttery. But the supermarket one was good, but now was it short of salt? I think it was short of salt.
Aye. That's one of my memories of it, that remembering them from childhood, when we used to come up to and went to Elgin for our summer holidays.
Yep.
We would get these, and they were always seemed to be saltier than they are now. Of course, over the years, everything's had its salt content reduced. So if you could get hold of your grandfather's recipe, we could get back to making them in the traditional manner, with lots of butter, lots of salt.
I suspect it was never written down, but I could check with my mother about that. Yeah.
That's what we need. Is
Yeah.
And if you had the recipe for them, you can make your own, and then you're free to add as much salt as you like.
Yeah.
Get back to the old days.
Now, do you toast your butteries, or do you have them cold?
I can do both.
All right.
I can do both.
Yeah.
If it needs must.
I like them toasted.
I do prefer them to be toasted.
Yeah.
They should be a little bit warm.
And then you get some butter on that again.
Butter,
and
yeah.
melting through.
Yeah.
Yep, lovely.
Yeah, one of the things butter I can, again, is something that salt content is not as high as it would have been once upon a time.
Yes.
But in the NHS, they used to have NHS butter, and you also used to get it in the armed forces, called armed forces butter.
Right.
And what it was European butter, mountain butter. And it was saltier than anything you might buy in the shops.
Mm-hmm.
But if you made toast and buttered toast with NHS butter or armed forces butter, you could easily sit with a loaf of bread and butter to yourself easily. It was fantastic when it started to melt on top of your hot toast, and it would have been excellent on butteries.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Now, Andrew, you mentioned that you'd had a buttery recently in Forres.
Yeah.
Now, I've been experimenting in Inverness.
Yeah.
Is there a particular place that is got a good buttery?
Well, I always remember them from childhood, on being in Elgin on holiday. You didn't get them outside of, in the 1970s, you had to come to sort of Murrayshire, Banffshire, Aberdeenshire. You wouldn't get them down in Lochaber, and that's why I remember them. So Forres,
Yeah.
Somebody in my office was telling me that Bucky is the place.
Bucky, right.
So sometime we'll have to pile in the car and get ourselves to Bucky.
Now, that sounds like a good road trip, yeah.
Aye, yeah.
A buttery in every town.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah. Now, my memory of it, and it could be right or wrong, is that butteries really originate from Aberdeen, but I don't know where you could say they originate. There's a history project. Your next, more than likely, yeah.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Because it may well, like somebody must have started them somewhere.
Somebody must have.
Yeah.
Somebody must have. Yeah.
Yeah. I always think the French tried it as well. Got something called a croissant, but it's not the same.
No, not the same.
Not the same at all.
Mm-hmm. And you call it buttery.
Yeah, I hear some people calling them buttery.
Right.
He's a buttery.
Buttery, yeah.
Buttery.
Buttery,
I think it is.
Right.
I'm never quite sure.
Yeah.
Aye.
Well, that's a good chat we're having about this this bakery delicacy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the listeners know what we're talking about.
I think certainly our local listeners will.
They'll
know it. Aye.
And those further afield, we're talking about
how would we
salty
describe
croissant?
It's not as fluffy as a croissant.
That's true. It's heavier.
It's heavier, flatter.
Yeah.
It's what sort of pastry?
Pastry, yeah.
Would you call it? Is it choux? Is it somewhere along that line?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's flat-ish.
Flattish, yeah.
You toast it.
Yeah.
You don't try and cut it open. You just butter.
Not good for your cholesterol.
Not good for your cholesterol. Not good for your cholesterol.
But
hey-ho.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
Yeah. Well, time is going on, and we've given a good hearing to butteries. Shall we move on
to Dingwall?
To Dingwall, okay then.
I don't know whether you can get butteries in Dingwall if any of the bakers there, but somebody can get in touch with us via chat and tell us.
That's right. They could tell us
give us the inside
if
track.
There's somebody in Dingwall,
yeah.
I tell you what's come up. and we've only got a few minutes left, but we could even just start the conversation. But for many, many years, Dingwall has been free parking.
Yes.
And they've got a lot of parking, and the council's done really well to keep it free parking. And they see that as the benefit for the local businesses, that people come to Dingwall, they can park their car and they can go for a walk, do their shopping. And
as Kathy and I have done on many occasions.
Right, yeah, as we have done as well. But every so often, every 5-10 years, it comes round again, and there's rumours upon rumours that Dingwall is going to become pay parking. Now, I think my memory is that the councillors probably don't want it, but maybe it's needs must, maybe it's Highland Council twisting arms, I don't know.
This is one of the huge problems with Highland Council. I often think that one of the Highland Council is just too big an entity. The days of the district councils, so Lochaber District Council, Inverness District Council, Wilson Cromarty District Council, Sutherland and Caithness.
Yes.
Where you had local councillors doing local things, everything being centralised out of Inverness is one of the big problems. So Dingwall parking.
That's the only place.
I think it's a great. They've done it in Nairn.
Okay, tell us about Nairn.
So in Nairn there are some parking machines down at the Links.
Okay.
Car park and at the Maggot, but you're invited to pay. It's not a compulsory payment.
Okay.
You're invited as if you're making a donation.
Yeah.
Like none of this applies to me because I've got a blue badge. So you know.
Yeah.
I can park, which is very handy on a Sunday morning in Castle Street. If I find a parking space, I can, or on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm raising this Dingwall situation, but I don't know what the outcome will be. I don't know if it's just rumours again, but
will it stop you going to Dingwall?
I think personally it would be sad if it did change. I think it's known for its free parking, and I think it sends a good sign to the public. We are open for business.
Yes.
Come to see us.
Aye.
And it'd be a shame if that was dropped.
Aye.
Yeah.
Because like exactly what you've said. You very often take an afternoon through to Dingwall, park up. There's lots of fine shops on the high street, lots of fine butchers, and bookshops. Yeah. Two excellent.
There's 2 good bookshops.
And all sorts of shops that you just don't see in Inverness.
No.
Not to that there aren't bookshops in Inverness.
And it's worth going to have a look at the canal. Did you know there's a canal in Dingwall?
The canal in Dingwall.
Thomas Telford.
Now you need to tell me about this. This is something I don't know about.
Maybe that's for another time, because we're really getting near the end of our time. But perhaps someone can do some investigation and come back. Thomas Telford and the canal in Dingwall. And people are thinking, where's that? Where's it hiding? Anyway, we have to go, Andrew.
Right.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Catch up again.
Look forward to a chat. Bye.
You were listening to Brian and Andy of Chatty Chappies. It's now easier for people to find our page Chatty Chappies in Facebook search. Come and join them again soon. If you want to know when to hear them next, send a private message with your email details to the Facebook page Chatty Chappies for further instructions. The song Uncertainty by Broxton Knox is available on Spotify.